Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Power Buyers, Parents' Impact on School Purchasing. We appreciate your joining us today. Before we start the program, I'm just going to go over a few housekeeping items. Our presenters are going to review some new research about school purchasing and provide a lot of information, so you're likely to have a lot of questions. We're going to leave some time for those at the end of the presentation, but go ahead and send in your questions as they come up for you, and we'll put them in the queue to be answered at the end. To send a question, simply click on the Questions tab on your control panel, type your question into the top box, and then click on the Send button. I'll receive your question, and as I said, I'll put it in the queue to be answered at the end. If you have any technical difficulties during the presentation, please use that same question feature to get my attention, and I'll do my best to resolve the problem. We will be providing you with a recording of the webinar and a copy of the PowerPoint slides, so keep an eye on your inbox for a link to those materials tomorrow. Now let's get started. I'm pleased to introduce today's speakers, Karen Vantaveras and Jim Clore. Karen is the founder and CEO of VolunteerSpot, the leading online coordination tool that makes it easy for people everywhere to join together and make a difference in their local schools and communities. Karen has more than 15 years' experience as an entrepreneur, management consultant, and business process expert. Her business background, intersecting with leadership roles at PTA and Girl Scouts, gave her unique insight into fundamental problems coordinating people with informal groups. Karen launched VolunteerSpot in 2009 to simplify the process of scheduling, signing up, and reminding people who want to get involved. And it has quickly grown mom to mom and group to group, boosting turnout with 9 million users nationwide. Karen has been interviewed on CNN, in the New York Times, and Wall Street Journal, and is a frequent speaker at conferences, including South by Southwest Interactive, National and State PTA conventions, and Parenting Magazine's Mom Congress. Karen lives in Austin, Texas with her husband, daughter, and a ridiculous number of pets. Karen will be joined today by Jim Clore, who oversees the sales and business development for VolunteerSpot's education marketing. He helps to connect brands to VolunteerSpot's user base of hard-to-reach moms with school-aged children. Prior to joining the company, Jim was on the senior management team of We Are Teachers and helped to create one of the first online social media sites for educators. Jim has also worked in educational technology sales and management for over 15 years with some of the industry's most respected companies, serving on strategic and urban education sales teams. Before delving into the educational arena, Jim worked in sales, marketing, and training for the Walt Disney Company. Jim currently lives near Tampa, Florida with his wife and 3 children. We're really excited to have Karen and Jim with us today, so we've got a lot of information to cover, so I'm going to hand the program over to Jim to get us started.
Well, thanks, Emily. Before Karen talks to you about parental impact on school purchasing, I'd like to spend a few minutes discussing the changes we've seen in educational purchasing over the last few years. Traditionally, education purchases were made in silos with clearly delineated lines of decision makers. Now there's much more of a collaborative committee approach, where not just decision makers are a critical part of the purchasing process, but influencers are as well. Now, I personally come from a family of educators. My mom was a teacher, and my father was a superintendent of one of the largest school districts in Michigan. Over the course of his career, he said one of the biggest changes he saw was the teacher and parental involvement and influence over district purchase decisions. When he started his career, most purchases were made by the district offices and products were pushed into the classroom without any input. Now, teachers, parent committees, and groups are often brought in to look at a program before the purchase is made. He also said if a parent committee brought a program to his attention, he would always give it consideration. As marketers, we still often work in those silos, sending messages in a direct line with the perceived decision maker and not spending much time reaching out to the influencers. We're focused in on a specific person that we feel holds the decision-making authority. Influencers, which include parents, should now be part of your marketing strategy. It's very important at the district and the school level to have a collaborative approach now when it comes to deciding which products are used in the school. For example, a district technology coordinator responsible for a technology purchase now pulls in input from different areas, which could include curriculum, HR, district-level personnel, principals, teacher focus groups, school board members, and parents. They want to get the buy-in in advance because budgets are tighter now. Purchases are critical, and if teachers and parents don't feel like they're part of the process, it can make the purchase and even the program's success more difficult later. Recently, our friends at Agile Education surveyed district and school personnel on how they make decisions and who makes decisions for certain products. And without going into too much detail, it is important to see the scope by product. For example, core curriculum. Many would assume that this purchase decision is made only by the district level personnel. However, as you can see, schools play a very large part in this decision. And by schools, the survey is including teachers, principals, and parents. So for example, digital whiteboards. Look at the influence that schools have here. Teachers are often brought in to view the products and offer opinions before the purchase, and also parent and parent groups have a really big part in raising funds for purchases like this. And speaking of parents, Karen is now going to talk specifically about the mom market and why it's so important to include them in your education marketing.
Hey, thanks, Jim. So what we're going to talk about is these very special influencers that are involved in the education purchasing product and in the education purchasing process. And they're also in the personal purchase process, and that's moms. So what's great about moms is we all have them. We all love them. There's an estimated 82 million moms in America of all ages, but there's 35+ million of them with children under 18 with school-age kids. And the thing is, it's a self-renewing number. Every year we have about 4 million babies born in the U.S., and within 5 years, those moms show up in kindergarten. So to give you a sense of scale, if you took our 35 million moms, what if you could market your products to the entire state of California or Texas at once? So she's the one with the school-age kids, and she's the one that we want to be talking about today. These moms control $2 trillion of purchasing. They outspend dads in every single category. Now, when I say moms outspend dads, some of you might be snickering, but let's just back up. It's all purchase decisions in the family, almost all of them, moms dominate. She's the chief financial officer for the household, and she dominates when it comes to everything from technology purchases to auto purchases, insurance, healthcare, travel, consumer products. In fact, moms outspend dads in every single category except for youth sporting equipment. So dads, we know you love to go to the academies and the Dicks of the world and choose that youth sporting equipment, but the mom in the household is likely the one that is influencing or making the purchase decision when it comes to almost everything else. So when we talk about parents involved in the purchasing process, we're really going to focus in on moms as the most influential. Parents have money to spend. They spend $26.7 billion a year on their K-12 children. And that's spending on everything from clothing to school supplies, technology, and tutoring. Look at the number when it comes into college. I know several of you have products that scale to college-age kids. We're looking at $72 billion in purchasing. If we're looking at just back-to-school spending, the spending that happens in August alone, we're at more than $600 per family. And again, that's getting our kids ready for school with clothing, school supplies, technology, tutoring, anything they need for back to school. So now is really a critical time if parents are on your radar, or if they're not, to get them on their radar, because they are getting ready to spend a lot of money in the next 3 to 6 months. So how do moms find what they're going to spend money on? And this is really interesting. Moms love to learn and share from each other. Just, of course, if any of you live in a suburban neighborhood or had a mom, you probably know this. Moms talk to other moms. 97% of moms give advice to others. Most of us, 75% of us, have purchased products mentioned on a blog or in social media. And when I know from my personal experience, if I'm on Facebook or on Instagram and a mom that I trust and like has posted a message about a product that she loves or that she just purchased or that she liked, I notice that, and I'm like, if Meredith likes that, that's something I'm going to look into. So it's not a surprise that social media and social networks have become a very big, credible source of information in the mom community. The other thing that's interesting is moms love to read online reviews before they make a purchase decision. So having your community and thinking about the parent community is very important as we think about how are we going to be bringing our products to school communities. On the next slide, what this shows is parent groups. There is collectively, when you put the moms together, parent groups are spending a couple $2 billion a year collectively on school purchasing. And these are PTAs, PTOs, PTSAs, and they're driving and influencing school technology purchases, playground equipment, software and supplies. They're even purchasing things like curriculum now and other classroom elements that the school districts just can no longer afford. And then in the home market, these same parents are the primary researchers and decision makers when it comes to things like tutoring, which schools I'm going to send my children to, what online learning we're going to be engaging them with. So how influential are parents in the purchasing process? We wanted to find out. So just in May of this year, 2 months ago, Agile Education Marketing and Volunteer Spot commissioned a research study to measure parents' influence on the school purchasing process. The study was an internet panel with both parents and teachers. We had more than 400 parents participating and more than 100 teachers participating. Half of them were teachers of pre-K and elementary school students, and it was a statistically significant study. And so the first question was, how much influence do parents have in the purchasing process? Do they have a lot of influence or some influence? And what's interesting is parents know they have some influence. Most of them, or many of them, 41% said they have influence. Parents of pre-K and elementary students said they had a little more influence. But the teachers, the ones in the classroom that are closer to the decision making, 6 out of 10 of them said that parents influence school purchasing a lot or some of the time. So I think that's really important to see both of those sides. Parents are not even realizing how influential they are in the purchasing decision. Are school administrators and teachers asking for parent input? Here again, yes, they are. We're seeing more input happen with parents of pre-K and elementary, parents who have pre-K and elementary students than parents than all parents altogether. But again, 1/3 of parents and 4 in 10 of pre-K and elementary have been asked for product, service, or purchasing by a school administrator. You know, at my children's school, recently they just went through a device purchase process, and there were multiple surveys sent out to parents on the devices. There was a parent committee that was involved in looking at the various devices, and then every campus has a technology purchase committee, and they have a curriculum purchase committee of which parents participate in. So, you know, I'm seeing this in my own life, and our survey proved it out nationally. So when we ask what kinds of products and services parents are asked to give input on, it's really across the board, everything from school supplies to books, after-school programs, educational programs, and curriculum. Curriculum is one of the lower ones, but it's still happening at 20 to 25%. But you can definitely see these areas where teachers indicate that parents have a lot of influence, and parents know themselves that they have influence. And so how are parents influencing their purchase decision? One of the most direct channels is they're sharing inputs with teachers. And you can see on the left the number of parents that say that, yeah, they've actually told teachers and given them information about purchase decisions. Almost 6 in 10 parents of school-age kids also influence purchasing decisions through the PTA and PTO. I know our school's PTO has a committee that looks at purchases and looks at how that spending happens. They spend so much time fundraising that they take a lot of time to be methodical about the spending. And then finally, do parents want to know about products and services that their schools are purchasing? And the answer is absolutely. You know, parents would like to receive information about the products that are being being considered in their children's school. It's no surprise that elementary school parents want to be a little more involved than all parents. I think by the time our kids get a little bit older, we're a little overwhelmed. You see more moms heading back to work, but in elementary school, parents are absolutely hands-on, making sure their kids are getting what they need to get those reading and math and other fundamentals in place. So this has just been a fantastic survey that really reinforces how influential parents are in their purchasing process, and really reinforces the information that Jim shared earlier about how the channels are really becoming much more blended. And so what I'd like to share next is how to help your brand get in front of parents and parent leaders. So I am the founder and CEO of VolunteerSpot. What we are is the easiest way for parents and teachers to self-organize all the things they care about. At schools, we're organizing everything from classroom readers to library helpers to help in the cafeteria. Teachers use this to organize parent-teacher conferences. And what's really fun is since we launched in 2009, we're now at more than 9 million, requesting on 10 million users. And when we were here last year talking on a similar topic, we were at 6 million. So we're a very, very fast-growing platform. VolunteerSpot has a school family focus, and we're very excited to be sharing some branding news with you guys soon, so we'll be sending that out in the next 2 weeks. But what we found is that what we're able to do is recruit parents to help and give, while we're doing that, we give brands a direct channel to the parent while they're thinking about education and while they're in an education mindset. The site is super easy to use. It's completely mobile friendly, and parents love us, and that brings a goodwill halo into all the work we do with our brand clients. And so I'm going to let Jim talk a little bit about that.
Sure. And when we talk about schools and VolunteerSpot is used in over half of the schools in the United States, and we're in 80% of the higher income schools, which makes sense because those schools are typically using technology more. About 50% of all the signups on VolunteerSpot are school-based, but we're also being used by nonprofits, churches and faith groups, kids sports teams, kids leagues, and even an Olympic team we just found out. So we target most of our marketing programs and can target most of our marketing programs to reach a specific group if you need to. But let's look a little closer at who the audience really is. It's mostly a female audience. We do have some males on the site, but through some research that we've done, we found that many of them are actually being signed up by their wives. So mostly female, ages 25 to 54, college graduates, and very high household incomes. Our clients like working with VolunteerSpot because not only do we have the hard-to-reach influencer moms, but these moms have the discretionary income to purchase products that they see online. And it's an even bigger bonus if you're a technology tool or product, because these moms are all technology users and they're tech savvy, and that's why they use VolunteerSpot. Our moms are volunteering in their child's school 3 to 6 times a year on average, and that's a lot of face time with teachers, administrators, and other parents in those buildings. And these moms are the room moms, the PTA leaders, the coaches, the committee chairs, the ones that have influence at the schools, but also make decisions for their homes. VolunteerSpot can help brands reach moms in a full circle approach, while they're planning and organizing activities involving other parents, while they're engaging with content online, while they're sharing online, maybe via one of our sweepstakes or social media channels. Our moms are talking offline about brands that they see online, and the opportunity to engage them, build loyalty, and create buzz is unique to the VolunteerSpot platform. And again, it's not just reaching any mom, it's reaching the right mom and engaging them with a platform that they know and they really, really love. And there's so many different ways we're able to get your message in front of our audience. Everything from unique display placements, lead generation programs, dedicated e-blasts and e-newsletters, surveys, sweeps, contests, and so much more. I don't have time to go through each one of these programs in detail, but there are a few that I'd love to highlight. In the process of our operations of helping people sign up and schedule how they can help out in their schools, we send millions of influencer chaperone emails every month. Now, these are emails that come from the school to the parents asking for parents to sign up for various events at the school. One of the truly unique opportunities for our clients is having their brand messages get to come right along in those emails. And these emails have an 80 to 90% open rate, which may seem really high, but it makes sense because if a parent receives an email from somebody that they know, like their child's teacher, the kid's coach, room mom, or principal asking for assistance, they're going to open that email. And when they do, they'll not only see the volunteer opportunity, but they'll also see the message, special offer, or product from one of our sponsors. And we're very, very careful to make sure that we work with clients that have great products or services that can help or enrich the lives of the parents or their children. Now, many of these display ads contain native content. They're less like a sales banner and more content-driven. They're designed to fit seamlessly in the flow of our sign-up process and on mobile and on our website. They include multiple links to various places on your website or even landing pages that we may create for you. These are microsites that we can create and push out at different times of the year. And we have different themes to them, like fundraising ideas, summer reading, holiday gift ideas, continuing education. We create the content for you, and our clients can be the sole sponsor of these landing pages for a specific period of time. We also use our various marketing programs to drive people to the content. So not only is it out there, but we're bringing people to the content to be seen. And then even after the sponsorship is over, this content lives evergreen on Volunteer Spot, but also out on the web. And it gives you some great content that you can repurpose on your social channels. As you're seeing these programs, please know that we have a team in-house at Volunteer Spot that can handle all of the creative content needs for you. Even some of our largest clients, some that have very large marketing departments, they sometimes get stretched a little too thin, and they ask us to handle the creative needs for them, and we're happy to do that. And of course, nothing would be sent out without our clients' approval. Another one of our programs is CoRegistration, and this is our lead generation program. If you have an in-house email list or newsletter, we can help you grow that list with names of parents or educators that are raising their hand and asking about more information from you. During the sign-up process on Volunteer Spot, parents are asked for some personal information. So in case something changes with the event that they signed up for, the organizer will know how to get a hold of them. And at that time, we can ask if they would like to co-register into one of your offers. So for parents that leave the prompt box checked, we provide you with the name, email address, and zip code of that lead for you, and you can keep that for future marketing. And the clients that use us for lead generation keep coming back again and again. They love it because we can provide them up to 30,000 names in a month without duplicates. And the feedback that we get from these clients is that the leads we provide have a much higher open rate on their emails and also engagement rate when they compare it to their own lists. Right now, I'd like to tell you about a company that we recently worked with, LK. They're a company that makes a high-tech water bottle filling station. These stations are often put in schools to replace drinking fountains. And they were trying to penetrate the school market by reaching out to district administrators. And that hadn't worked out very well for them. They said that they've been trying for a long time and they had been very unsuccessful in that. So they turned to us to help them create a contest online where they could reach the schools through the parents. So moms would enter this online contest on behalf of their schools. And we got the word out about the contest through our many channels at Volunteer Spot. And in just 3 weeks, we had 4,500 entries, which was double the goal of the client. And all of those represented a warm lead for the company into a school building that they didn't have before. And they said that led to some really great conversations because the school was happy that the parent thought about them and sign them up for the contest, and they learned about a program that they would never have heard of before. So it just worked out really, really well. So as you can see, we can be really creative with the ways that we can help you get in front of this audience. We'd love to meet with each one of you one-on-one so we can learn more about your marketing goals and give you our recommendations on what we feel would be the best programs to reach these moms. Now here's just some of the clients that we've worked with. All have had the need to reach parents in some way, and most took a multi-channel approach with us, using several of our programs over a specific period of time. If you'd like to reach out to me, I'd be more than happy to schedule a time, and I could share more examples with you and go into more detail about some of these programs and discuss how you can reach these influential moms. But as our data has shown, and as Karen has talked about, and what we're seeing with the education purchasing cycles, we really think it's important that you add moms and parents to your mix, in your marketing mix. Right now, we would like to open things up for questions. So if we have any questions, we'd love to answer them for anybody that might have a question.
We do have some questions that have come in, and certainly those of you out in the audience, if you've got others, feel free to send them in. We are kind of running a summer webinar schedule, so we're going to let you out of class a little early today if you want, but we're happy to take as many questions that come in. So our first question is, have you seen any or experience with having parents influence teachers influencing what parents are purchasing? So kind of a reverse of what we've talked about here.
We've seen some of that, but I've seen more, maybe because of the nature of our business, I see more of the opposite, where the parents are letting the teachers know about a particular book that they may have read and they think it should be in that school's library, or a special app that the kids are using, or a educational program that they've seen and they think that the school should be using it. We work with a lot of fundraising companies, and a lot of times the parents reach out to us at Volunteer Spot and say, is there anything that's different out there for fundraising that we can try? And so we're able to introduce them to a lot of fundraising companies that have really unique fundraisers for schools too. So so I see it more the other way, but I've seen it both ways, but I think it's just due to the nature of what we do every day. We see more of the parents influencing the schools.
Yeah. This question is along the same lines, and just wondering if you've seen any change in the trends of the types of products that are being required by schools for parents to buy. Are they being required to buy more curriculum products because of deficits in school budgets, things like digital apps? Have you seen any changes in that?
I've seen an increase in parents sharing information about educational apps and programs that are online, because more kids have tablets now, especially our Volunteer Spot moms and families have tablets in their home, and more schools are buying tablets. And it was interesting, a year or so ago, we saw a lot of schools getting the tablets because they had to have the tablets, but then when they got them, they didn't quite know what to put on the tablets once they were in the schools. So we saw a lot of parents, at least in my districts too, being asked, like, do you have any suggestions of programs that could be used in the schools on these new pieces of technology? So,
and if I can also just chime in, we have a lot of BYOD, bring your own device schools as well, where the school might send back to the parents, here is your license, here's the school license, and there might be either sections that the parents can upgrade into, or it's a small price upgrade. We see that very regularly where I live.
Okay, that makes sense.
Also,
you mentioned,
I just want to point out, Emily, that with a lot of the programs that are now being used, that the school districts buy for use in the home, I'm seeing an increase of companies calling us that are asking, can we reach the parents to let them know that this is a product that the school district has purchased for use in the home? There's so many districts that have bought so many great products, and the parents don't even know that these programs are available to them in their home on their home computers. And for many of the companies, the renewal for those programs are based on parent usage. So to be able to reach out to the parents, and because we can geo-target many of our programs to certain areas, we could send messages to those parents saying, hey, this purchase has been made for you, it's a free service, and here's how you can use it. Or we can give them tips of great summer ideas of using this program that's free that your district has purchased for you. So it helps the parents because even if the school district really loves a program, sometimes they don't always do the best job of getting the word out to the parents about it, or they bury it on a newsletter that's where it shows up on the last page. But this is a great way to let them know, hey, these programs are available to you. The parents love it because they find out, oh, I didn't know this was available to me, and the companies are able to increase their usage, which also increases the opportunities for getting that renewal later.
That's a great example, and really showing that influencing power that parents have. This is a question referring back, Jim, to you talked about the great number of leads that your programs generate, and this person is wondering if you do any work with the lead nurturing of those initial leads generated. Do you have any programs to help with kind of staying in touch and turning those from warm to hot leads?
We can do content to some of those leads, but primarily when we provide the leads over to the companies, they then, especially if we're doing co-registration where we're handing the names, email addresses, and zip codes to the companies, most of the time those companies already have a plan or an e-newsletter or content that they typically send to parents on their email lists. So we can create content, as I mentioned, but most of the time our goal is to help bring those parents to your doorstep.
All right. And someone just wanted some clarification that Volunteer Spot is a free app for moms in schools, or is there a fee to use it?
Volunteer Spot is absolutely free for anybody to use. We do have an app, but actually most people are using our web-based product. So if you are invited to sign up for your parent-teacher conference or choose where you're going to volunteer at school this coming year, the mom is most likely to access on her phone, and we will route her to a screen that automatically fits her device. And she will be able to sign up without having to register first and create an account with a password. And that's why parents love it, and that's why we grow so fast, is because these parents can come in with just a couple clicks, find their assignment, sync their spots immediately to their calendar right on their phone, and then we'll also send them an additional reminder. We do have schools and districts that purchase our campus plan and district premium plans, and those are typically organizations that are doing things like tracking service hours for their grants, or they have additional needs, like they need to do volunteer check-in, or they need to do have extra registration fields, or want some additional customization that's not available on our free product. Most of our users, though, are teachers and parents using Volunteer Spot for free.
And these programs help keep the site free for them. So, the parents that love Volunteer Spot do a really great job of supporting the sponsors of these programs, knowing that, hey, this is a free service and this helps keep it free. And they, as I mentioned earlier, we do, I think, a very good job of making sure that, again, the companies that we work with are a really nice fit for the audience. And we've gotten so many emails from parents just thanking us for getting them in touch with a great tutoring program or a special fundraiser for their school that they didn't know about. So, I mean, that is advertising, but they're thanking us for that advertising because I think we do it in a way that is more of a help. And, hey, moms, did you know about this? Did you know about this app, this special math program that can help your kids? And the clients win because we've gotten them in touch with parents, something that's really hard to do. The schools have this great program that helps keep everything very organized for them. And oftentimes they get asked, have you ever had a school complain about the advertising? And I can honestly say not one time. And again, I think it's due to the sponsors that we have. They're all really great sponsors with wonderful products that have just had a hard time reaching the parents, and now they have this great outlet.
Yeah, it definitely is a win-win for everybody involved, I think, which is wonderful. Someone's asking if you have any examples that you can share of helping schools acquire library resources.
I would say the closest thing we've done to that, and you can check with our content, we have somebody that handles all the content at Volunteer Spot, but again, it's those microsites. We produce, in the past we've done blogs too, and all of that content lives evergreen on our site. So we're always writing like the top books for summer reading, for example, and getting and giving examples of real books, or we might mention great books for your school library, and then we again use our channels to push people to that content that lives evergreen on our site. So typically if we do something like that, it's usually through content or through our social channels. And I should mention, if you're not following us on Facebook, please check us out because we have a really active following there. The moms there love to share the content that we post, and they get in some really great discussions. We have about 200,000 moms that are friends with us on Facebook, but we typically in a week will reach anywhere between, we have kind of a reach score of 3 to 5 million, sometimes even more than that, because of the moms sharing and commenting with their friends. And we post things that we know moms will love. Sometimes it's about schools, sometimes it's about children, and every so often we'll post something interesting about one of our sponsors. And again, they do a great job of sharing that information.
Yeah, and I mean, I think one of the great things that you do is you have that team that can custom create that content. So whatever the product, you're going to be able to create something that's going to fit them.
I'll ask if we have an example of that, and I could share with you how the sharing has been. So I can, whoever asked that question, just reach out to me and I'll get you the information. We've created so much content over the last 7 years that sometimes we can't remember every single article, but we can find it for you and send it over to you, give you some examples. Or if you have an idea, maybe it's, hey, we would like to work with you on maybe some content or a microsite with content about ideas for libraries, for example. We could definitely talk about that and ways that we could help get your books or whatever it is that you might be trying to get in front of moms, in front of them through a microsite.
And I can also share that library volunteers helping in the library and helping at book fairs are one of our very top categories of parents who are volunteering in school.
That's good information.
That's true. I just came from the National Library Association conference in Orlando this week, and everybody I talk to, sometimes I go to conferences and I say volunteer spot. Every one of these librarians has heard about us and used volunteer spot. So it was great. It was great to see so many people that said, I love volunteer spot. I know volunteer spot. So it was wonderful.
Good. So this question refers back to the survey results. Are high school parents as involved in purchasing as elementary school parents?
They can be.
Yeah, I would just say it's a little bit different. In elementary school, they're actually in the classroom, and in high school, they're very active in the booster clubs. So they're helping at the concession stand, they're helping for teacher appreciation events, they're chaperoning clubs and trips.
And we've worked with a lot of companies that have wanted to reach out just to middle school parents or just to high school parents, and we have ways of doing that if you have a product that's very specific to a specific type of parent.
Great. This is a geography question. Is Volunteer Spot used in Canada, and where have you seen the growth really occurring geographically?
So absolutely, Volunteer Spot is used in Canada. It's the second country to the United States, but we are international. We have a giant bloom in Australia right now, but most of our users are in the U.S. or in the larger urban centers in Canada. We have started in the tech-forward markets, which were obviously California, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Austin, Boston, Chicago, anywhere where there were tech-venturous people. And then what we've seen in the last 2 to 3 years is now Volunteer Spot is just everywhere. We're in small towns in Texas, we're in small towns in Canada, we're in, and we're scaling the globe.
That's exciting. And growing quickly based on your 6 million to 9 million number.
It's very fun, yes.
So Jim, you touched on this a little bit, but the question is, do you curate what banners or products are highlighted on the Volunteer Spot site to schools so that they are a good match, or do these ads and programs go to everybody?
They can go to everybody. That's more common, but we do have the ability to do targeting to certain events, or we've had a number of our clients ask, can we just have these go to school-based signups? And we can do that, so that's not a problem. We can even do school-based signups in certain areas. So I had a client recently that said, we just want California, Texas, and Florida. So only school signups in California, Texas, Florida, we're getting those banners.
Right, and
again, we can do that with other. We can do that with other signups. So if it's not common, but sometimes we'll get a client that says, "Hey, I just want to reach your church-based audience with certain products," and so we can do that kind of targeting and help you either whether it's geo-based targeting, event targeting, or targeting based on school-based versus church or nonprofit signups.
And again, I think that just points to everything you're doing is custom to fit both the audience and the company that has the product or program to promote. So it's very. We can even do platform. I should mention targeting too. So last week I had somebody that said we just want to be targeting iPhone users, and again, not a problem. Mm-hmm. Very good.
Yeah.
So this is the last question in the queue, though again, if there are other questions out there, feel free to send them in. So here we go. How do you suggest parents or moms can influence participation with free educational offerings that are being offered in the schools already?
Karen, do you want to take that one?
Yeah. So for that, I'm just trying to think of what an example might be. So maybe the school has purchased some curriculum or software or additional educational packages, and they're not necessarily being used in school. To me, that doing social campaigns, doing campaigns within the site to tell moms that this is available, ask their teachers if it's available, giving them hints on what's there, doing leading content on here's some great things, go ask your teacher for more information. Those kinds of things are ways that you can tease it out by telling the parent what they can find when they indeed go in and engage.
Great. Well, thank you both, Karen and Jim, for sharing the research information and then these great opportunities to reach out to parents and educators through Volunteer Spot. And thank you to everyone in the audience who joined today and participated. We really appreciate it. As I mentioned, we'll send you an email tomorrow that includes a link to view the recording of the webinar and to download the slides. You'll also be able to find that information on Agile's website, which is agile-ed.com. Jim's information has been here up on the screen for a while now, so you're welcome to reach out to both Jim and Karen if you've got questions about Volunteer Spot. As you've seen, they have lots of great ideas and lots of great ways for you to help really reach this influential market that can help you grow both your consumer parent sales as well as your school-based sales. So thank you again. And just as a note for the calendar, our next webinar is scheduled for July 28th. As we head into the back-to-school marketing season, we'll be talking about best practices and strategies to get the best results possible from your email campaigns. This webinar is going to be full of lots of actionable ideas and strategies that you can implement right away to improve your opens, clicks, and conversions this back-to-school season. So keep an eye on the Agile website in your inbox for details on how to register for that. And just one last note, when you log off today, you're going to see a little pop-up survey asking just 5 quick questions, and we'd really appreciate if you took the time to answer those. Your input helps us improve these webinars, and there's also an opportunity to provide suggestions for topics of webinars that you might be interested in hearing about. Shortly, we're going to be starting to plan our 2017 schedule, and would love to do a topic that is meaningful to you. So one last very big thank you to the Volunteer Spot team, especially Karen and Jim, and thanks to all of you, and have a wonderful afternoon and a great July 4th.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.